What if the very virtue you've been praised for is the one quietly dismantling your power? They told you to stay humble, to speak less of your victories, to walk with your eyes lowered, even when you've conquered more than the men beside you. They told you humility makes you noble, that modesty is strength, that downplaying your greatness is the mark of a true leader. They lied, because humility in the eyes of the powerful is not a virtue. It is camouflage for the weak. Showing off is not strength, but erasing yourself entirely. That's suicide. A man who refuses to own his presence becomes invisible to those who trade in perception, respect and fear. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved when one must choose. But the humble man is neither feared nor loved. He is forgotten." Let us begin where history does not forgive softness. Cesar Borgia, ruthless, brilliant, destined for domination, did not whisper his moves. He orchestrated them with precision, then let the world tremble at their echo. He did not credit fate or luck or divine will. He stood at the center of the storm and called it strategy. Contrast him with the countless men who achieved quietly and were buried just as quietly. Humility may win applause from the masses, but the masses do not write legacy. The masses do not crown kings. In today's world, humility is marketed as maturity. You succeed and the first instinct you're taught is to apologize for it, to shrink it, to balance the scales by pretending it wasn't that hard, or that you got lucky, or that others helped more than they did. This is not virtue, this is a muzzle. You muzzle your power, you chain it in politeness, you water it down so others won't feel small, and slowly, without realizing, you turn your edge into a curve, a blade into a spoon. The modern trap is this: applause for self-erasure, likes for fake modesty, the humble caption, the quiet win, the refusal to name your price. And while you bend yourself into invisibility, another man, louder, colder, unafraid to be seen, steps into the space you surrendered. Understand this: humility is not silence. Silence is strategy. Humility is self-deletion. The man who speaks little but radiates presence is dangerous. The man who belittles himself to appear relatable is disposable. There is a tension here, because we've confused arrogance with assertion. We've labeled confidence as ego, and we've taught our most capable men that to be respected, they must appear uncertain. This is not wisdom, this is control. The truth is, most people are uncomfortable around certainty, around unapologetic excellence, around a man who does not flinch when he speaks of his own dominance. But comfort is not the goal. Respect is. Power is not given to those who wait politely. It is taken by those who walk into a room and declare, "I deserve to be here." There's a reason the wolf does not ask the sheep for permission. Let me give you a picture: a battlefield. Two generals. One stands tall, eyes like daggers, voice firm, plan calculated. He tells his men what they will do, and how, and why they will win. He does not smile. He does not thank fate. He does not hedge. The other general is kind, measured. He speaks of teamwork, of chance, of humility in victory. His men respect him, but they do not fear disobedience. When the battle begins, one army moves like a machine, the other waits for consensus. Now ask yourself, which general survives? You do not command men or respect by lowering your crown. At the midpoint of every empire, there is a moment where its leader must choose: do I soften myself to comfort others, or do I sharpen myself to protect what I've built? The humble man gives ground, the dominant man gives warning. Let us take it deeper. Humility teaches you to underestimate yourself so others won't feel insecure, but Machiavelli warns, men judge more by the eye than by the hand. In other words, perception is reality. If you act beneath your power, they will believe you are. Worse, they will treat you as such. And once they do, regaining position requires not just assertion, but retribution. This is why kings did not kneel unless they intended to execute. When you bow too often, they forget you were ever standing. You were not born to apologize for your talent, or downplay your instincts, or share the throne with men who did not bleed for it. And yet, many of you do. You win, then immediately explain why you didn't really deserve it. You speak, then backpedal to make others comfortable. You lead, then hesitate to call it leadership. Each time, you chip away at your own authority. Humility is not harmless, it is corrosive. It teaches the lion to act like a lamb, and soon, even the lamb forgets the lion ever had teeth. So ask yourself, who taught you that being small was safe? Who benefits from you hiding your light, your mind, your force? It was never for your growth, it was for their comfort. And you, king, you do not exist to be comfortable. You exist to conquer. They will tell you, stay grounded. But what they mean is, don't rise so high that I have to look up to speak to you. This is the quiet treason of humility. It masquerades as moral advice, but it's a leash. a leash offered by those who fear what you become without it. You must understand the psychology of power. Man is not drawn to weakness, he is drawn to what he cannot fully understand, cannot predict, cannot control. And humility, true, self-erasing humility, strips you of mystery. It makes you digestible, predictable, safe, but nothing feared is ever safe. The lion is not admired for his gentleness. The general is not followed for his self-doubt. The ruler is not remembered because he knew when to step back. No, they are remembered because they stepped forward when others trembled, because they stood tall, spoke clearly, and made no excuses for the weight of their crown. You don't need to shout to dominate a room, but you do need to take up space in it. And humility, the modern performative kind, trains you to shrink, to downplay your intelligence so you don't seem arrogant, to nod when you should correct, to smile when you should command. It teaches you to become forgettable and then asks you to be proud of being overlooked. But power is not won through absence, it is won through undeniable presence. Machiavelli warned us, a prince is also esteemed when he is a true friend and a true enemy. That is, when he is fully known for what he stands for and what he opposes. Humility clouds that signal. It confuses your allies and emboldens your enemies. Because the humble man is easy to test, easy to probe, easy to ignore. He speaks, and the room continues. He enters, and nothing stops. He acts, and it is forgotten. Contrast that with the man who moves like thunder, just before the strike, silent, but loaded with force. He does not need to be loud, he needs to be undeniable. This is the essence of real dominance, not loudness, but certainty. Not arrogance, but presence. Not apology, but unapologetic self-possession. You do not owe the world an apology for being sharper, faster, hungrier. You owe it a warning. I am not here to entertain your comfort. Here's the deeper danger. Once humility is baked into your identity, it becomes a form of self-sabotage. You start to doubt your instincts. You give away credit that belongs to you. You begin to fear recognition as if it's a sin. And worst of all, you train the people around you to believe you are replaceable, because the man who erases himself invites erasure. I want you to imagine something, a high-stakes negotiation, a table of executives. Everyone is speaking, pitching, pivoting, and one man, sharp suit, composed silence, sits back, he listens, he waits, he does not interrupt. But when he speaks, the table shifts. He does not waste words, he does not humble himself. He states terms, draws lines, names his worth, and then watches who flinches. This man is not arrogant, he is unshakable, and his presence, not his humility, is what seals the deal. You are not in this world to soften your brilliance so that others can feel bright. You are not here to tuck in your ambition so others don't call it ego. You are not here to be humble, you are here to become undeniable. So many men walk through life with a fire they've been taught to hide, and they wonder why no one respects them. But respect begins with refusal. Refusal to be muted, refusal to shrink, refusal to perform humility as a costume when your bones were built for command. Ask yourself, how many moments have you watered down your own power? How many victories have you dismissed so others wouldn't feel small? How many times have you let a lesser man speak over you just to keep the peace? That is not humility. That is quiet betrayal of your mind, your voice, your purpose. You think people will appreciate your softness, but the world only rewards what it fears or needs. And if you are neither feared nor needed, you are forgotten. So make them remember. Walk into rooms like your name is already on the walls. Speak like your silence costs something. Move like hesitation is treason. You are not here to beg for approval. You are here to claim your place without bowing, without blinking, without reducing yourself into something palatable. There will be those who call you arrogant. Let them. There will be those who call you difficult. Let them. There will be those who say you've changed. And to that you say, yes, I stopped apologizing for who I was always meant to be. There comes a moment in every man's ascent when he realizes humility didn't protect him, it concealed him. You're not losing because you're incapable. You're losing because you're invisible. And the tragedy is that you were trained to believe invisibility was virtue. They told you to keep your head down, to let your work speak for itself, to wait your turn. But the truth is, history does not remember those who waited. It remembers those who moved while others were still asking for permission. Fortune is a woman, Machiavelli wrote, and if you wish to master her, it is necessary to conquer her by force. Force, not politeness, not modesty, not humble intentions. Because in the real world, outcomes don't go to the most deserving, they go to the most deliberate. Every system, every industry, every court, every kingdom is tilted toward those who do not hesitate to take up space. And humility, as it's been sold to you, is hesitation made holy. You can see this pattern everywhere. The humble artist whose brilliance gathers dust because he never promoted his work. The humble leader passed over again and again because he refused to name his ambition. The humble warrior who downplayed his victories until his enemies no longer saw him as a threat. And slowly, that man begins to vanish, not physically, but from the imagination of others, because he chose invisibility and called it grace. You must learn the difference between humility and restraint. Restraint is control, humility is erasure. A restrained man can dominate without noise. A humble man cannot dominate at all. The wolf that waits in silence is not humble, he is calculating. He has fangs, and he knows exactly when to show them. But you, if you keep hiding your fangs under the illusion of virtue, you will forget how to bite. And once that happens, you're no longer the wolf, you're the lamb wearing his skin. Let's reset the lens with a simple visual. Picture a throne room. Marble floors, cold air, advisors line the sides, whispering. And at the center, a man stands before the king. This man has served loyally for years. He's brilliant, quiet, humble. He's never asked for more, and yet he is overlooked. Why? Because he never made the king look twice. He never demanded the weight of his presence be acknowledged. Now a new man arrives, less experienced, but bolder. He speaks with certainty. He makes eye contact. He names his vision clearly, and the room shifts. The king sees him, because presence is not given, it is declared. This is what humility steals from you, your declaration, your ability to imprint yourself on the minds of those who can elevate or destroy you. Power, after all, is not just what you do, it's what people believe you can do. And if you constantly minimize yourself, they will start to believe you. They'll start to think your silence is consent, your modesty is doubt, your deference is weakness, and they will act accordingly. This is why humility is not just unwise, it is dangerous, because in every room, every alliance, every power structure, you are being measured, and when you refuse to state your value, others will assign it for you, and they will always undervalue what you do not price yourself. So if you speak, speak with gravity. If you move, move with certainty. If you win, own the win, because false humility doesn't make people love you more, it just makes them forget what you've done. They will gladly take your silence and call it permission. They will let you disappear behind your own manners. They will thank you for stepping back and then close the door before you step forward again. And when you finally realize what's happened, when you try to reclaim what you've given away, you'll find that power does not return to the man who abandoned it. It migrates, it reroutes, it finds new carriers, men who never apologized for wanting it. So ask yourself right now, are you being humble or are you being erased? Are you being noble or are you being neutralized? Are you leading or are you hiding behind the illusion of good behavior? The world does not change for men who ask nicely. It bends for those who take up the space they've earned, with composure, with strength, and without the need for permission slips dressed as humility. You were not born to be agreeable. You were not shaped by hardship to become gentle. You were not gifted with potential so that you could lower your eyes every time someone weaker than you feels insecure. No king ever built an empire by pretending to be smaller than he was. There is a reason the world does not reward the quiet genius, because genius unspoken is genius unseen. And in a world ruled by perception, the unseen man may as well not exist. This is the final cruelty of humility. It convinces brilliant men to bury themselves alive, in silence, in restraint, in false virtue. It turns excellence into a private secret. It makes greatness something you're not allowed to say out loud, and so you comply. You fold your strength into a whisper. You make your victories small. You cover your fire in fog, until the world forgets you were ever burning at all. But power never forgets noise. Power never forgets presence. Power bends for those who refuse to fold. Machiavelli said, "A wise prince should attract to himself capable men and give them honors." But what happens to the capable man who refuses those honors, who bows his head and says, "I'm just doing my part"? He disappears. He is replaced, not by someone more capable, but by someone louder, bolder, hungrier. This is how power operates. It is not a prize you wait to be handed. It is a battlefield. And humility, in that arena, is like stepping onto the field without armor. You may have the skill, you may have the mind, but if you lack the will to assert it, to show it, claim it, declare it, then you are simply training for a war you'll never fight. Let me speak directly to you now. You've been told, that to be humble is to be good, that to want recognition is ego, that to step forward is arrogance. No, to be good is to live in truth. And the truth is, you are powerful, you are dangerous, you are capable of things they would never expect from a man like you. But if you bury that truth beneath politeness, you betray it. You trade your potential for their comfort. And what does the world offer in return? A pat on the back, a hollow compliment, a thank you for being invisible while others steal the light. Do not confuse praise for position. They will compliment your humility while promoting the man who made himself known. They will tell you, "We admire your modesty," as they hand the role, the power, the influence to someone less skilled but more willing to be seen. Because in the real world, recognition is not just about ego, it is about leverage. It is the currency of movement, and if you refuse to spend it, you remain stuck. This is where the shift must begin. You must kill the part of you that seeks approval for being small. You must murder the habit of shrinking. You must bury the voice that says, "Don't say too much, don't stand out, don't seem full of yourself." Because if you don't, they will bury you first. They'll bury your ambition, your dominance, your edge, and you will stand at your own funeral, wondering why the world never gave you what you never asked for. Here is what no one told you. When you speak with certainty, the world leans in. When you move with precision, the room adjusts. When you own your force, the weak either follow or flee, but they do not ignore you. That's the mark of presence. That's what humility can never give you. It can earn you kindness. It can earn you politeness. It can earn you empty applause from people who would never follow you into war. But it cannot earn you fear. It cannot earn you loyalty. It cannot earn you power. And in the game of rulers, strategy and real legacy, those are the only currencies that matter. Let me ask you something you've avoided. Why are you afraid of being seen? Why do you apologize before you speak? Why do you feel guilty for being sharper, faster, more focused than the ones around you? Who taught you to hide? Trace that voice, find the face, and you will see it was not a mentor, it was a limiter, someone who needed you small so they could feel safe. You are not here to keep others safe from your greatness. You are here to become something so unshakable, so precise, that the world either moves with you or gets out of your way. So let me leave you with this. Every time you choose humility over presence, someone else wins the prize you were born to take. Every time you stay silent to avoid seeming proud, someone else speaks your destiny into existence. Every time you downplay what you've done, you give permission for the world to forget it. And every time you kneel in the name of humility, you train yourself to serve. But you were never meant to serve. If you strip away the noise, the likes, the compliments, all that remains is consequence. And the consequence of humility is obscurity. In the court of power, you are either shaping the room or disappearing into its corners. There is no middle ground. They will not tell you this directly. That would be too honest. Instead, they smile and say, "Stay grounded," as if ambition is dangerous, as if boldness is arrogance, as if visibility is a flaw. But those same people, the ones who urge you to shrink, will turn and follow the man who never apologized for being seen. This is the paradox they never speak of. They say they admire humility, but they follow dominance. They say they respect modesty, but they reward command. They say don't brag, while promoting the one who never shut up about his value. And while you sit there hoping they'll notice your quiet efforts, another man walks in, speaks with conviction, and leaves with what should have been yours. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. And how do men honor a title? By embodying it without shame, by wearing it, not like a borrowed robe, but like armor molded to their form. You want to be a leader, then speak like you are already one. You want respect, then move like a man who does not need it. You want power, then show the world that you do not fear the weight of your own voice. Humility, as you've been taught it, is not the path to greatness. It is the trap just before it. And the longer you sit in it, the more familiar it feels, until one day it becomes who you are. The man who's always patient, the man who never asks, the man who stays polite even when he's being robbed of his credit, his time, his place. But what happens when patience runs out? When silence becomes suffocation? When humility begins to rot into bitterness? By then it's too late. The doors you didn't knock on are closed. The roles you didn't claim are filled. The respect you didn't demand is now permanently elsewhere. This is the cost. Not in theory, in your life, right now. Let's make it personal. How many times have you let someone less skilled than you speak louder? How many times have you let your ideas be watered down by committee? How many times have you smiled and said, "It's fine," when you knew damn well it wasn't, and you called it maturity, you called it patience, you called it humility. But what you were really doing was erasing yourself in real time, and they watched you do it. They watched you carry the load, do the work, swallow the credit, and smile like that made you strong. But it didn't make you strong. It made you replaceable. Because no one fears the man who always agrees. No one remembers the man who never raises his hand. No one follows the man who never stands up and says, "This is mine." You want to know why some men rise faster? It's not because they're better. It's because they decided to stop hiding. They speak first. They take credit. They name their value without flinching. Not because they're arrogant, but because they understand this. The world gives more to those who demand more. It's not fair. It's not polite. But it is true. And Machiavelli didn't write The Prince for men who wanted fairness. He wrote it for men who wanted results. So stop asking for fairness. Ask for leverage. Ask for clarity. Ask for the room, and then take it. There is no shame in saying, "I built this." There is no guilt in claiming, "I led that." There is no arrogance in standing up and declaring, "I matter, and I'm not afraid to be seen." Because if you don't say it, no one else will. And if you don't show it, they'll assume it's not there. You have a choice. You can be liked for being humble, or respected for being undeniable, but you cannot be both. Choose. A lion that hides his teeth is not safer. He is simply closer to slaughter. And a man who hides his greatness, thinking it will protect him, learns too late that humility is not a shield, it's a sheath, a covering for the blade that was meant to be drawn. You were taught to be silent, soft, modest, and told that this was strength. But the kind of strength that never strikes, never claims, never shines, is indistinguishable from weakness. And the world doesn't care what you meant to be, it responds to what you declare. Machiavelli warned us, again and again, the prince who waits too long to act loses not only opportunity, but the image of power. And image is everything. A man who walks like he's second place becomes it. A man who speaks like he's unsure confirms it. A man who constantly underplays his value ensures no one else will ever overestimate it. This is not a call to arrogance. This is a call to precision. There is a difference between being humble and being hesitant. There is a difference between respect and resignation. You think the world will reward your restraint. It won't. It will eat you alive and leave your name off the credits. Because the truth is, nobody cares how quietly you built the empire. They only care if they know it was you. And if they don't, someone else will rewrite the story with their name in your place. This is how legends are stolen. Not through force, but through your silence. So what do? You speak when it's uncomfortable. You claim what's yours without guilt. You let the room adjust to your presence, not the other way around. Because power isn't granted to the polite. It gravitates toward the man who doesn't flinch when it arrives. You think humility will earn you peace, but peace is not given to the quiet man, it's given to the man no one wants to fight. And that kind of peace only comes from one thing: presence. The kind of presence that can't be ignored, the kind that fills the room before you even speak, the kind that speaks and no one dares to interrupt. You know what that presence is built on? Conviction. Conviction that your voice matters, that your strength is not a danger, but a compass, that your ambition is not a flaw, but a force, that your victories do not require apology, only direction. Humility will tell you to wait for validation, but legacy doesn't wait. It's carved, claimed, and commanded, and only those who step forward, loud, clear, steady, ever hold the pen. You are not meant to be quiet. You are not meant to be agreeable. You are not meant to be remembered fondly and forgotten easily. You are meant to leave a mark, one that cannot be erased by silence, by comfort, or by the fragile egos of smaller men. So the next time someone tells you to be humble, ask yourself, are they trying to protect you, or are they trying to keep you from rising higher than them? Because a king who kneels too long forgets the weight of his own crown, and when he forgets, someone else picks it up. So stand, speak, and stop hiding, because the world will never make room for a man too humble to walk through the door. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you has already awakened. A part of you has begun to see through the illusion that being small is noble, that hiding your light is maturity, that waiting your turn will somehow build an empire. It won't, and you know it because you felt the weight of being overlooked, the sting of silence after you delivered, the ache of watching lesser men win louder simply because they refused to kneel. But that ends now, because real self-respect doesn't whisper, it moves like thunder. Being loved means nothing if you must abandon your power to receive it. Being liked means nothing if it costs you the truth of who you are, and true self-command begins the moment you stop apologizing and start walking like your name belongs in rooms they tried to lock. So now I ask you, are you ready to be misjudged, misunderstood, feared, or even hated, all in the name of something deeper, your presence, your clarity, your rise? If this message struck you, if it mirrored something you've always known but couldn't name, then write it in the comments. I will not shrink. Let the world see how many men are done being silent. And don't stop here. Watch the next video, because this shift you're feeling, it's just the beginning. See you there.